Hi, Bill. Welcome to the show.
Hello, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I see you are a science fiction writer. But before we get into your books, tell us a little bit about yourself, your backstory, who you are, where you come from, and what got you to write in the first place.
Well, who am I? Still kind of wondering about that myself. However, to earn a living, I was an air traffic controller. I worked in both the center and the tower option, and finally ended up in the flight service where I briefed pilots for like 36 years. It was an enjoying occupation. I learned how to do it while I was in the Navy as a naval veteran, served in the Philippines, and it gave me a career. And I went on, but being an air traffic controller was all nice and well and good. But I had always, ever since I was small, been a performer. I was never paid for it, but I was a performer. I was always on, and I was always making people laugh or just entertaining them in some form. And that went on for while I was in the Philippines, though in the Navy, I picked up a guitar because my roommate was a guitar player, and man, he wanted a bass player real bad, so he taught me how to play it. So then I was like about 19 at the time when I first picked it up, and so I started playing, and that went on a while. I was going to be a rock star and all this other good stuff. You know how it goes.
For sure.
Well, I learned how to play finally. It took me a while, and I got to a point where people could actually hear me without wincing, and that was that was always nice. People did throw beer cans at me one time, but I won't get into that. And then I went to Nashville, and I went as actually as a comedy. I was doing Ray Stevens type stuff, and I did put out one album, and I went to make it. And what I found out was that they had an old adage that you can grow old in Nashville, but you cannot go old to Nashville. So I went there and I was in the office of uh, Miles Bell. He was a big talent agency around 2000. And he sat there and I was 45 years old. And he essentially told me, he says, Bill, I can make you a household name. He says, but you won't be around long enough to make us enough money. Mm. So I was crushed. So I went on home and said, well, there's something else I can do, because I spent 20 years playing, saying, oh, I can make it, I can overcome the obstacles, but sometimes you get the one you just can't crawl over. Mm-hmm. So I said, all right, I'll give it up. At least try to make it big. I still play, it's still right, but it's for pleasure now. So I said, what can I do? And I had started writing. I guess I was in the 8th grade when I wrote my first serious attempt at a novel, and The Mouse That Roared, even though I know it was a movie title. And I got about 100 pages into it and realized I knew absolutely nothing about geopolitics at the age of 14. So I give that up and went on. And then, like I said, after I come home crushed from Nashville, I decided I'm going to write again. And so I started writing. Practicing short stories, articles. I was writing newsletters for about 2 years. And then that got to be old. So I could relate to being a TV producer, doing the same thing. But wait a minute, when you have to write and produce it all, it's a job, man. And hats off to you. But then, it got to a point where just write little pieces wasn't enough. I wanted to write something bigger. Thought I had something to say, but it just turned out I just wanted to entertain people. So I started writing just action adventure stories, just little things to make your heart pump. Is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? That kind of thing. And I finally went to school, went to OU, and took some courses on professional writing and started writing. And now, after 9 years and 3 completed novels, 2 partial, and a short story collection, here I am.
Oh, good for you. You felt that course helped you write?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I've studied under 2 New York Times bestselling authors. My teacher, instructor at OU, she was a New York Times bestselling author, wrote a Star Wars book. She didn't say, I asked her if I could tell her name. She didn't say. But the other one was David Wolverton, the late David Wolverton. He passed away last year, and he used to teach at BYU.
Mhm.
He wrote under the name of David Farland, and he was a fantasy writer, a sci-fi writer, but he was more an editor and teacher. And he helped me polish everything I learned from OU. And he actually edited Hard Kill before he passed. It's a novel, actually a standalone, though I did leave it a little open-ended. I really didn't intend to write another story unless there was a big outcry,
Okay.
which there hasn't been yet. But you know,
Okay.
you never know. You could always hope. Knock
Well,
on wood. You know.
well, do you mind telling us a little bit about that book without giving away too much?
Okay, well, Hard Kill is a science fiction action adventure story. If I had to tag it, with one line, I'd say RoboCop meets The Great Escape. It's essentially a high-tech beat 'em up, shoot 'em up, escape escape the planet story. Because Escape the Planet is actually a subgenre of science fiction. Yeah, it's as is military sci-fi, and the reviewers keep tagging it as military sci-fi.
Hmm.
It's not actually. There's only one person in the military in the whole book, and that's the protagonist. And he's actually a customs inspector in the Planetary Peacekeepers at the time of the story. It's more about survival and about family, because it takes family, the entire family, to survive. And that's what this story's about, them trying to escape the planet, which has. Let me give you the setting here. It's set in the dwarf planet Eris, which is the first inhabited planet beyond Terran airspace. And they've lived there for the 200 years since they were exiled from Earth during the pure human revolution. And they brought along a contingent of fleshies, or real humans, unadulterated, to handle the infrastructure. Because I mean, these transhumanists who run the council and run Eris, they're actually of royal blood, and they're not going to build or maintain sewers or anything of that nature. So they brought along the contingent, always with the future plans of getting rid of them. The main character, Brock, he as a customs inspector stumbles upon a container that is being shipped from the one of the two people of the Royal Council who are cousins who are vying for control. And the container explodes. And to save Brock's life, he's converted into a cyborg. And the rest of the book calls for them, or shows them escaping, because the transhumanists, they want to get the parts back. And they are after Brock. And Brock's family says, we got to escape the planet. And so off they go.
Transhuman.
It's fast paced too. As a matter of fact, I got one of the reviews here. It was on my webpage. One said, if you love fast-paced, hard-hitting science fiction, you'll love Hard Kill, or something like that. I mean, it was really cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. And how long is that book?
99,000 words.
Sure. And when did you release that one?
It was. It's been a year now. A year, about 2 months. It was. Well, 3 or 4. Damn, getting old. In January of 2022, to be more specific.
Yeah. And then you got busy working on another one right away?
Yes, I'm working on a fantasy series, a 4-volume series. Okay. And so I got Hard Kill done and sent it out, and I even got an audiobook too.
Wonder what it would be like to drive around in my car and listen to my book being talked to me by someone else. Have you done that?
Well, you can't talk to anyone else at the time because you're smiling so big.
Cool. So a Hard Kill, you said that you left it open for what reason?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, because during all of my education, they say, standalones are great. You want your novel to be able to just be a story in its own, but you always want to leave the door open in case they want more. So just at the very last of it, the denouement, or however you mispronounce that word, then I cracked the door open and left for the possibility of another shot.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. Shem's Quest. There's another one.
Shem's Quest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was my very first book.
Okay.
It's got a real soft spot in my heart, and when I first wrote, that's what got me into college too, because I took it in, I gave it to the professor. Because at the time at OU, they were running a program that you could audit if you were like a senior citizen and for free. So I was a senior citizen. So I went in and I brought the book to the teacher, and she looked over a few pages and said, "Yeah, you need me." So, so she took me into the class. And then after the class was over, I completely rewrote the book. So Shem's Quest is actually on edition a revision two. I tightened it up a lot. I reduced it from 113,000 words down to 100,000 words, got rid of two characters, and tightened the story up, and then started on the second one right away. And it's grown because it was going to be a novella, and I wrote the first 34,000 words, and they just came out really quick. And it was one character, but I called it First Created. But in the story, there's three first createds, and I only dealt with one of them. So I'm saying I'm shortchanging the other two. So now the novel's up to like 76,000 words, and I'm not quite finished with it. And but then after that, I got two more in the series, but and I've got a stack of notes, got so big on for the next two books. And the other work in progress I'm doing is another sci-fi. So yeah, in high school I started reading sci-fi first before I started reading fantasy. So I don't know if you remember Retief and the Warlords. Yeah, he had a whole series and everything. It was that was by Keith Laumer, and that was one of my favorite books in high school. Well, I read it about a year ago, and I said, "Oh man, I really like this." But it helped uh, get into action adventure and instead of getting into real uh, deep thoughts. I mean, like I have a theme, it's family and survival, but it's not, it's not. I don't. I'm more entertainment oriented. And so, I'll give you, I'm not going to try to teach you nothing. You want to learn something, go to school. I'm here to entertain you. That's how I approach writing.
I see a few more. You told me earlier you have some compilations of short stories, but is it the one that's called science fiction?
Science fiction, fantasies, tales, and origins. Yeah.
Is that a short story book?
It is a collection of short stories. That is correct.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it has three prequels in it. It has a prequel to Shem's Quest.
I love
It has a
prequels.
prequel to Hard Kill, and to Cadet Adam, which is another book which I forgot to mention. Though I guess I did do four and almost five, and I wrote that while I was at school too.
Oh,
At OU.
you're really enjoying this, aren't you?
Oh, I'm loving it, man. No one's telling me I'm too old to do that, but it's great.
Exactly. Yeah. So have you appeared on other podcasts as well?
You are my first. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I
Wow.
really do.
Okay.
And I could tell when I looked at you were saying I like to give people an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I said, man, that's exactly what I'm looking for because I know I'm going to get a whole lot of no's coming, trying to be guests on podcasts. So it was really nice to get a yes.
So do you do anything like going out to doing some readings, book signings, putting yourself out there in the public?
Yes, I do. They, well, I go to the cons, and even though COVID slowed that down, and I really haven't. This will be the first year getting back into the cons again. I want to make sure everything was safe, if you will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got three booked this year coming up for this summer, and then a book fair here in Oklahoma, and I've actually got another podcast scheduled in June, and I'm actively searching more. So
Oh yeah. Well, you'll find it. You'll find it for sure. Yeah. One of the things I'm surprised at when I first joined certain online services to find authors to interview is the subgenres. I'm amazed at the subgenres. I thought science fiction, good enough for me, one genre, but I can't keep up with the subgenres. What would you call your subgenre?
well, like I was mentioned earlier, it's Escape the Planet subgenre.
That is a
Uh,
subgenre.
that actually is a subgenre, Escape the
Oh,
Planet,
oh,
and otherwise it'd just be a action adventure, and then I would put uh, military sci-fi third.
mhm. Do you project years in the future? Do you give dates like it's the year 3106 or something like that? Is that what you do?
No, I try
Okay.
not to anyway.
See, I don't write science fiction, but I used to love to read Asimov.
Mhm.
So to imagine that you're on some planet in some future date. So you're
Yeah.
assuming that it's the future, obviously, since we're having these transhumans and that sort of thing. It's just a given that it's obviously the future. It's not.
Oh yeah, it is future, and then I do make mention of the fact that when I went to talk about the pure human revolution that happened 200 years ago, and these
Yeah,
people are still alive because they do a little flashback. They're standing there in front of the judge, and he bangs the gavel.
yeah. And that's the thing, because I have an idea for a science fiction book, and I feel like I'm going to have to write future history, is what I call it. Like if I'm doing something that takes place 300 years from now, the characters have got to be steeped in the understanding of their own history, just like we are
Yes.
steeped in the understanding of our history. We know that 200 years ago, these things happened in America, and that's kind of led to where we are now. I find that would be hard to do. Do you find that easy to do?
No. But you set up your culture when you're during your world building, so the culture can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Now, what the difficult part is actually finding the science, if you will. How the advances have gone and how they built on each other, or if they have it, is just had this one like Big Bang Theory, that shoots us off in some other direction or something like that, or some other
Hmm.
uh, avenue of science that is discovered, if you will, and moves on. Just like I'm doing one called Space Force. That's the other work in progress, and they did it, kind of like Star Trek. They go with their little light thing going. Only this time, you lay on a table. It gives you your body in digital display, and doctors can do all this stuff and never touch you. And then boom, you're done. Now, so you have to really like think this stuff up,
Yeah.
and or you have to know some people. Like when I was in OU, I'd go talk to some of these doctors because they try to teach some, and it just kind of most of them first they think, oh, this guy's a nut, and then you start saying, well, no, I'm in the professional writing class, and this is I'm on an assignment. Yeah, you do whatever you got to do. Generally they warm up and start talking to you. So I talk to the ROTC people, I talk to scientists, and whatever field I happen to be wanting to delve into for part of my story for the research, and I'll go talk to the professionals or
That's
as
great.
professionals that'll talk to me.
That's great. That's the way it should be. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
So you have a web page as well.
Yes, it is BillEckel.com. That's ECKEL, BillEckel.com. It's
Okay.
lists all my books. It gives a little bit of stories. There's a music video on the fun page on one of the stories I did from my comedy album that I released in 2000.
Mhm.
That
Oh,
was
so you do a little
that was a lot
comedy, a
of
little
fun.
stand up as well?
Oh man, stand up is even harder than writing a novel.
I
I
I
have
bet.
done that. That lights on and your brain's off.
Excellent.
And then I'd write these funny songs, when I'd go up there and give them a tape, says this for a song, and well, that's not what they said, but family show. Uh, I was not appreciated there very much as a comedian doing funny songs.
Oh, cool. Cool. Now, how are sales for you?
Uh, Dismal, in a word. I'm hoping to change that, and that's one of the reasons I'm out here doing all this is to get exposure, if you will. Hey, this is me. Check me out, because a lot of people don't even know who I am or that I am, if you will.
Well, hopefully they won't know you a little bit better after this.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill, this has been really fun and exciting and kind of wild. So, any final words you may want to say as to where we can get your books and what else you may want to say about what you're doing in the future?
Okay. Well, you can get all my books on either Amazon, Drafted Digital, Find a Way, and those are just the distributors, so they distribute them to all the bookstores. You got to ask for them, though; they're not going to carry them on the shelves, but they will order if you go in and ask for it by name and author. And you can get ebook, you can get print, and you can get audiobook for all of my offerings.
That's really good. I like the audiobook
And
stuff.
you can get it through my webpage too. I'll actually sell you when I sell you autographed copies on my webpage.
Well, that's even better. That's even better. All right. I'll have to check that out because I don't know. One of those really sounds interesting to me. I should maybe delve into a little bit of your writing to find out who you are.
No, appreciate it.
That was a lot of fun, Bill. It's been great having you on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, I did indeed, John. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, you're welcome. So you take care of yourself moving forward. And if you ever write anything else and look me up, we'll talk about that as well.
I'll sure do it, man. I'll pop in on your shows every once in a while and leave you a comment.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Bye, John. Thanks.
And that's our show for today. If you like what I do here on Tell Me About Your Book, then please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that bell for future notifications. And if you are a self-published author, I would really like to speak with you. Until such time, keep on writing and be kind to one another.